Welcome to Easy English Podcast. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Eric. Whether you're a student, a professional, or just someone who loves learning English, you're in the right place.
What are the words today, Eric?
The first word today is clumsy. Then we will continue with as if, and as for, then as of, and the final one is from scratch.
Let's start with the first word.
The first word today is clumsy.
Clumsy.
Clumsy is an adjective we use to describe someone who often drops things, falls or bumps into things. It can also describe actions that are done without skill or grace. For example, John is so clumsy that he often spills his drink.
Good example. It means that John frequently drops or spills his drink because he's not very careful or coordinated.
Exactly. Now, Lisa, can you give us another example?
Sure. Here's my example. The clumsy waiter dropped a tray of glasses. It means that the waiter wasn't careful or skillful, and as a result, he dropped the tray with glasses on it.
That's right. Clumsy is an adjective, so we use it to describe people or actions like a clumsy person or clumsy movements. For example, he is clumsy or it was a clumsy movement.
Good point, Eric. Now let's listen to a short dialogue using our word clumsy.
Oh no! I just broke another plate!
Don't worry, Emma. It happens to everyone sometimes.
But I'm always so clumsy in the kitchen. I feel bad about it.
You're not that clumsy. You're just learning. I used to be really clumsy when I started cooking, too.
In the dialogue, Emma and Jack used the word clumsy several times.
Yes, they did. Eric, have you ever felt clumsy?
Oh yes, many times. I'm quite clumsy when I try to dance. I always step on people's feet.
Really? That's funny. I'm clumsy too, especially in the morning before I'm fully awake.
Oh, what happens when you're clumsy in the morning, Lisa?
Well, sometimes I bump into furniture or drop my toothbrush. How about you? When are you most clumsy, Eric?
I'm most clumsy when I'm in a hurry. I often drop things or forget important items.
I understand that. Being in a hurry can make anyone clumsy. Do you think being clumsy is always bad?
Not always. Sometimes it can be funny and it teaches us to laugh at ourselves.
That's a good point. I think everyone is clumsy sometimes, and that's okay.
Exactly. We shouldn't feel bad about being clumsy. It's just part of being human.
Well said, Eric. That's all we have time for with our word, clumsy. Let's move on to our next word.
The next word is as if.
As if.
It's an idiom. This idiom is used to describe something that appears to be true but may not be, or to make comparisons.
That's right, Eric. We use as if when we want to say that something seems something else.
Let me give an example. He acts as if he knows everything. It means that he behaves in a way that makes it seem like he knows everything, but he probably doesn't really know everything.
Here's another one. She danced as if no one was watching. It means that she danced freely, like she didn't care if people saw her.
Good example. Now, let's talk about how to use this phrase. As if is usually followed by a clause, which is a group of words with a subject and a verb. For example, as if it were summer, or as if she had won the lottery.
That's helpful, Eric. Let's hear a short dialogue using this phrase.
Hey Sarah, why are you dressed so nicely today?
I have a job interview. I want to look as if I already work there.
That's smart, and you're walking so confidently as if you've already got the job.
Thanks, Tom. I hope that confidence helps me in the interview.
I liked how they used as if twice.
Me too, Eric. What do you think about Sarah's approach?
I think Sarah is smart. She's trying to look and act like she fits the job already.
You're right. Have you ever acted as if for something, Eric?
Yes, I have. When I first started teaching, I acted as if. I was very confident, even though I was nervous.
That's a good example, Eric. Did it help you?
Yes, it did. After a while, I really became confident. What about you, Lisa? Have you used as if in real life?
Yes, I have. Last week, I went to a party where I didn't know anyone. I acted as if I was outgoing and made new friends quickly.
That's a great way to use it.
Yes, I felt more comfortable and met nice people.
Yeah, I can imagine. Okay, shall we move on to our next word?
Sure, Eric. What is the next word?
The next word is as for.
As for.
As for, an idiom. This idiom is used to introduce a new topic or to refer to a different person or thing in a conversation. We use as for when we want to change the subject or talk about something else. For example, I like pizza and pasta. As for dessert, I prefer ice cream. It means that I'm changing the topic from main dishes to dessert and talking about what I like for dessert.
Good explanation. Here's another one. Tom is going to the beach. As for me, I'm staying home. It means that I'm now talking about what I'm doing, which is different from what Tom is doing.
Now, let's talk about how to use this phrase. As for is usually followed by a noun or pronoun. For example, as for him or as for the weather.
That's helpful, Eric. Let's hear a short dialogue using this phrase.
Kids, what do you want for dinner?
I like chicken, Mom.
As for me, I'd prefer pasta.
Okay. And as for dessert, how about some fruit?
That was a nice dialogue, Lisa.
Yes. What do you think about how the family is deciding on dinner, Eric?
I think it's good that everyone gets to say what they want. The mother uses as for to ask about dessert separately.
You're right. Do you use as for when talking about food choices, Eric?
Yes, I do. When I go to restaurants with friends, I sometimes say, as for me, I'll have the fish.
That's a good way to use it. Do you use it in other situations too?
Sometimes, like when we're planning a trip, I might say, as for the hotel, I prefer one close to the beach. What about you, Lisa?
I use it when I'm shopping with friends. I might say, as for shoes, I like these red ones.
That's a great example.
Absolutely. Remember, listeners, you can use as for to change the topic or talk about something else.
Yes, and it's a polite way to give your opinion or talk about something different in a conversation.
Well said, Eric. Okay, let's move on to the next word.
The next word is as of.
As of.
As of is an idiom used to indicate a specific time or date when something begins or changes. Here's an example sentence. As of next week, the new rules will be in effect.
It means that, starting next week, the new rules will be in effect.
Here's another example. As of today, we have a new manager.
It means that, starting today, there is a new manager.
Now, let's briefly discuss some grammar related to as of. This phrase is used before a specific time or date to indicate when something starts or changes. For example, as of January 1st, or as of now.
Great. Now, let's have a short dialogue using the phrase as of. In this dialogue, we'll have two co-workers, Steve and Karen, talking about changes at their office.
Did you hear about the new work schedule?
Yes, as of Monday, we will start at 9 a.m. instead of 8 a.m.
That sounds good to me. As of now, I can get an extra hour of sleep.
Me too. I think everyone will appreciate the extra time in the morning.
Now, let's talk about our dialogue. Lisa, what do you think about the changes in Steve and Karen's work schedule?
Based on the dialogue, starting Monday, they will begin work at 9 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. They both seem happy about the extra hour of sleep.
And also, they seem pleased with the change, and it looks like the new schedule will be better for them. Have you ever experienced a change that started as of a specific time, Lisa?
Yes, my gym introduced new classes as of last month, which I've been enjoying. How about you, Eric?
As of last week, a new project manager started to work at work. Do you think using as of helps to clarify when changes take place?
Yes, it clearly shows when something starts, making communication clearer. What do you think?
I agree. It's an effective way to specify timing. Do you know any other phrases that mean the same as of?
Yes, phrases like starting from and beginning have similar meanings. Anything else you want to add about our phrase today?
Just remember that as of is used to indicate a specific time or date when something begins or changes. It's a useful phrase for clear communication.
It's a good summary, Eric. Okay, we have reached the last word of today. What is the last word today, Eric?
The last word is from scratch.
From scratch.
This idiom means to make or do something from the beginning, without using anything that was prepared before.
That's right, Eric. We often use from scratch when talking about cooking or creating something new.
Let me give an example. My grandmother makes her cakes from scratch. It means that she doesn't use a cake mix or pre-made ingredients. She starts with basic ingredients like flour, sugar, and eggs.
Good example. Here's another one. We built our tree house from scratch. It means that we didn't use a kit or pre-made parts. We started with just wood and tools and made everything ourselves.
Now, let's talk about how to use this phrase. From scratch usually comes at the end of a sentence or after a verb. For example, she learned to play guitar from scratch, or they started the business from scratch.
Okay, Eric. Let's hear a short dialogue using this phrase.
Wow, Sarah, this soup is delicious. Did you make it from scratch?
Yes, I did. I love cooking from scratch whenever I have time.
That's impressive. I usually just heat up canned soup.
You should try cooking from scratch sometime. It's fun and often healthier.
That was a nice dialogue, Lisa. I liked how they used from scratch 3 times.
Me too, Eric. Now, let's talk about the dialogue. What do you think about Sarah's cooking?
I think Sarah enjoys cooking and takes pride in making things from scratch. It seems like she thinks it's better than using pre-made food.
You're right. Do you ever cook from scratch, Eric?
Sometimes, yes. I make pancakes from scratch on weekends. It's not too hard, and they taste better than the mix.
That sounds yummy. What ingredients do you use?
Just flour, eggs, milk, and a little sugar. What about you, Lisa? Do you make anything from scratch?
I like to make pizza from scratch. I make the dough and sauce myself.
Wow, that sounds delicious. Is it difficult to make pizza dough from scratch?
It takes some practice, but it's not too hard. And it's fun to choose your own toppings.
I think our listeners can learn from this too. Making things from scratch can be rewarding.
Absolutely. Remember, listeners, from scratch means starting from the beginning with basic ingredients or materials.
Yes, and while it might take more time, making things from scratch can be a great way to learn new skills.
Well said, Eric. We hope this explanation and conversation help our listeners understand and use the phrase from scratch correctly.
Definitely. And remember, whether it's cooking, crafting, or learning English, sometimes starting from scratch is the best way to really understand something.
Great point, Eric. All right. We hope you found it helpful and fun.
Please subscribe and like the video and practice the words of today.
Thanks for listening.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.